Hello, and welcome back to the Commander Crucible. Today, we finally have a 4-player game for you. Today, we're going to see the Dragon face off against Meren, Avacyn, and Kruphix, God of Horizons. All the deck lists are pretty similar in power level, being Dragon Tribal, Graveyard, Indestructible, and Card Draw. So let's get into the Crucible. Tim starts us off with an unclaimed territory naming dragons. He taps it and plays a Pyramid of the Pantheon and passes. I play a Forest and pass to Jacob. Jacob plays a Plains and casts a Wayfarer's Bauble. Ethan plays a Forest and casts a Soul Ring, passing back to Tim. Tim plays a Hallowed Fountain, and then he uses both his mana to put a counter on Pyramid of the Pantheon. Pass it to me, I drop a Swamp, followed by a Sakura Tribe Elder, and pass to Jacob, who plays a Mystifying Maze, followed by a Luminarch Ascension. Great. Ethan then plays an Island, and the Mouth side of Mouth and Feed, creating a 3/3 Hippo token. Passes to Tim, who plays a Flooded Strand, cracking it right away to pay a life to go grab a Steam Vents that enters tapped. He then taps his 2 remaining mana to put another counter on Pyramid of the Pantheon and passes to me. I drop a tap Mosswort Bridge, getting to activate the Hideaway. I then move to combat and attack Jacob for 1, as I don't want him to keep putting counters on his enchantment to make 4/4 Angels. Jacob plays a Plains, cracks his Wayfarer's Bauble to go get another Plains, and passes to Ethan. Ethan drops a Yamavaya Coast for his land for turn, pays 4 mana, and plays Explosive Vegetation, just what the Kruphix deck wants, a bunch of mana. Tim then plays a Watery Grave, and has it enter tapped. He adds another counter to his Pyramid of the Pantheon, basically making it a Gilded Lotus. I sacrifice my Sakura Tribe Elder on his end step, and go grab a Swamp. I tap out and cast Meren, and pass to Jacob. And at my end step, I bring the Tribe Elder back to my hand. Jacob taps out for a Thran Dynamo. Ethan drops an Island, and then plays Prime Speaker Zagana, where X is 3, so she gets 3 +1/+1 counters, and then he draws cards equal to her power, drawing 4. Tim then taps his Gilded Lotus and 2 mana to cast a real Gilded Lotus, which he taps that and another mana to cast Dramoka the Eternal, as it's discounted by 1 from the Dragon. I play the Sakura Tribe Elder once again, and I move to attack Jacob, as I don't want him to keep getting counters on his enchantment, and he's not too happy about it. Jacob then creates 3 4/4 Flying Angels. Ethan then drops a Temple of Mystery for his land for turn, and then casts Baral's Expertise. He chooses the Pyramid of the Pantheon, 1 of Jacob's Angel tokens, and Meren for myself, wanting to spread the love. I sack my Tribe Elder to go get a Forest, and I gain an experience counter before Meren goes back to my hand as she sees the Tribe Elder get sacrificed. Ethan then casts Beast Within, targeting Tim's Dramoka, giving him a 3/3 Beast token. Tim plays an Exotic Orchard as his land for turn, followed by Fist of Suns. And as Thanos literally walks on the battlefield, Tim slowly taps his 5 mana and snaps in the 9 mana Dragon. I drop the Viridian Zealot. And then I play Putrefy on the Fist of Suns. We don't need any more Thanos snaps coming. And pass to Jacob. Jacob then plays Endless Horizons, as he gets to search his deck for any amount of Plains cards he wants, and exiles them, and then at each upkeep he basically gets to play a Plains from the exiled cards. Now he didn't say how many he was getting, he just said a handful. And then he creates another 4/4 Angel and passes to Ethan. Ethan then plays Urban Evolution, getting to draw 3 cards and play an additional land for turn. Then, he taps 2 mana, taking 1 damage from the Yamavai Coast to play Avatar of the Resolute, with a 1/1 counter, as Zegana has a 1/1 counter on her. Passes to Tim, and Tim drops Savala, which Jacob quickly swords to Plowshares. Thank you, Jacob. Tim gets to gain 3 life from the exiling Savala. Tim then plays Niv Mizzet the Firemind, and attacks with his Dragon. He's only attacking with 1 dragon, so he draws 1 card, and then he gets to play a permanent for free, which is Marchesa the Black Rose. Ethan then blocks with his Avatar the Resolute, taking no damage. Comes back to me, and I quickly cast Meren again, and pass to Jacob. Jacob then brings the planes to his hand from the enchantment, and plays it for a turn. He taps out to bring Avacyn. Great, everything's indestructible now. The board wipes are coming. He then drops a forest return, followed by a winged Codal, which probably should have been saved at flash speed for that Dragon, but what can you say? Tim then drops a Smoldering Marsh, and plays a Hedron Archive. Great, the 5-color deck is outramping the Golgari deck, followed by Pyramid of the Pantheon once again. Tim then moves to combat, swinging both of his dragons at me. They both get the 1/1 counter from Marchesa and dethrone. I then take 26 damage, and Tim gets to play a permanent from his hand for free, which is tie again. I drop a Swamp Return, and quickly cast the Sakura Tribe Elder once again. I then drop Attrition, and sacrifice the Tribe Elder to go grab a forest, and I gain another experience counter, and pass to Jacob. Jacob plays another Plains, surprisingly, and then casts a tap Magus of the Disc. Then, he tries to slyly resolve an Armageddon, wiping all the lands. But luckily, Ethan's got our back, and plays a Spell Pierce, countering the Armageddon. Ethan then follows that up with an Eternal Witness, and passes to Tim. Tim can't really decide what mana he wants to tap, and finally brings out Bladewing the Arisen, targeting his own Jamoka, bringing it back to the battlefield. Then moves to combat. Tim goes all out at Ethan, and everything gets the +1 for dethrone, and since dragons are attacking, Jamoka bolsters 4 times. Tim draws a couple cards and plays Palace Siege, naming Khans, and Ethan takes 13. Tim passes to me, to which I sack the Tribe Elder to go grab another land, and then drop Greater Good, tap out, and cast Yahenni. I sacrifice the Viridian Zealot to Greater Good to draw a couple cards, and this is a misplay. I forgot that you have to discard 3 cards as you draw your cards. Then I use my Meren triggers and my experience counters to bring the Zealot back to the battlefield and pass to Jacob. Jacob plays a Plains, followed by Pariah's Shield, making it even harder to kill him. He then equips the shield to Avacyn, making all the damage that we try and deal to him redirected to the indestructible Avacyn. Jacob then taps his Magus of the Moat to destroy everything except lands. I respond and cast Heroic Intervention to save myself. Jacob then moves to combat and attacks me with a few Angels, putting me to 4. Then all of Timmy's creatures with the dethrone counters on them come back to the battlefield. Ethan then plays Curse of the Swine, targeting Avacyn, Magus of the Moat, Taigam, Marchesa, Niv Mizzet, and Yahenni. Me being stupid did not sacrifice Yahenni in response to my own greater good to draw a bunch of cards as he saw everything die. Then Ethan passes to Tim, who drops a Wooded Foothills, cracks it, loses a life, and goes to search for a basic forest. Tim then moves to combat and swings at Jacob with Bladewing and the Dragon. He gets to draw 2 cards and drop a permanent, which is Ramos, the Dragon Engine. He then taps 3 mana, and plays Temur Ascendancy, which he agrees he should have done before combat. I then sacrifice the Tribe Elder to go search for a land, and I get another experience counter before my turn starts. I then play Exquisite Blood, followed by the Underrealm Lich, which is an all-star in this game. You'll see later on. I then attack Ethan for 5 to try and get back in this game. As he loses life, I gain life. I then sacrifice my boar token to the greater good to draw 2, and I have to discard 3, which is again a misplay. But with the Underrealm Lich, instead of drawing 2, I look at the top 6 and put 2 into my hand and the rest in the graveyard. Timmy then casts Mortify on Jacob's Luminarch Ascension, and with my 6 counters, I bring back Geth to the battlefield before passing to Jacob. Jacob then taps out to bring Avacyn back to the field, and passes to Ethan. Ethan then plays Cultivate, ramping even further, and passes to Tim. Tim then drops the Drowned Catacombs as his land for turn, coming in untapped. Then he plays Dowsing Dagger, another Gilded Lotus, and gives Ethan the 2/0/1 plant tokens, followed by Lightning Greaves, which he quickly attaches to the Dragon. Tim then goes to combat, and swings out at Ethan, taking him out of the game. Tim then gets to draw 3 cards and drop a permanent, which is Okagachi, the Vengeful Kami, before passing to me. I play Command Tower as my land for turn, and then I play Shield Dread. I then sacrifice Geth to the greater good. Having 6 power, I get to look at the top 3 cards of my library 6 times, and put some of them into my hand, and I gain another experience counter. As I pass to Jacob, I bring back the Lord of Extinction, which is a 37/37. Jacob plays in Amara, the Sky Rune, followed by a Gauntlet of Power, naming White. He attaches the Prize Shield to Avacyn, and plays a Swiftfoot Boots, also attaching it to Avacyn. He then plays a Tower of Fortune, which is the only card draw that this white deck has. Tim then plays a Polluted Delta as his land for turn, and quickly goes to combat, swinging everything he can sideways at me. He gets to draw as many dragons as are attacking, and puts down a permanent. I want to go out on my own terms, so I sacrifice the Lord of Extinction to the greater good, and with the Underhelm Lich, get to look at the top 3 cards 37 times in my library, and then I sacrifice the Underhelm Lich to go to draw those cards from greater good and kill myself. Tim then drops Kaiga the Water Star, followed by a Planar Bridge that he hard casts. Tim then plays the Maelstrom Archangel after this, and passes back to Jacob. Jacob then plays an Oblivion Stone, and counts up his mana, and cracks it, wiping Tim's board. As Kaiga died, Tim gets to take control of something Jacob has, and Avacyn has Hexproof, so Tim takes a 4/4 Angel to try and stay alive a little bit longer. Jacob taps the Tower of Fortune to draw a couple cards, before tapping more mana to cast the Stone Hero Giant. He then moves to combat, and hits Tim with a bunch of angels and Avacyn in the air. Tim blocks with his only angel, and untaps. He casts a Dragon Arc, and his last mana to cast the Gem of Becoming, and it's really not looking good. Jacob untaps, draws return, and just wants to add insult to injury. So he taps the Stone Hero Giant to search his library for an equipment and grabs World Slayer. Without even going to combat, they shake it up. The mono white deck won. Holy cow, I think it has never been done before in EDH ever. We have done what they say couldn't. Mono white won a 4-player game and ramped super hard and super well. Now the other decks did great on their own as well. The Dragon played a bunch of dragons and a lot of permanents for free. Tim really made use of Marchesa the Black Rose. When he first put that card in the deck, I really didn't think it was going to be that good, as the Dethrone trigger probably wouldn't trigger so often, as he might have the highest health total in the game, and then his reanimation when everything died, I didn't think it would be that good, but it turned out to be very life-saving in this game. The Kruphix deck really didn't do much. Ethan managed to wipe the board a couple times and control a few permanents, but I just don't think he ever really got off the ground with how fast the Avacyn deck was putting out those angels and the dragons were coming at him, and I was just getting a bunch of value through Meren. So I was using Tim's Meren deck, and he built a really good Golgari Reanimator deck that's really focused around Meren. I really wish that there were other cards in there, like the other black Reanimate spells, that would just make the deck even better, but I was still able to get up to a lot of counters really quickly and bring back big cards like Geth and the Lord of Extinction. And I think if I just had a little bit more life or a little bit more blockers in the air, I could have stayed alive and really changed the course of that game. But thanks for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe.